is effervescent, delightful. Uh, I can see her on camera, so I just know how she glows. But for all of you, get ready to meet and enjoy my friend, Anna Medina. Her favorite cartoon is Rocket Power, which is a great choice because I wanted every outfit that the characters wore in that show because, clearly we both have style. So, everyone, please welcome Anna Medina.
Hey, hey, hey. Thank you for having me. Super excited to be here. Very excited to have been seeing all these amazing talks happen today and get a chance to share a little bit about everyone. Rocket Power was actually interesting because I grew up in Central America and I watched it in Spanish. So now when people ask me questions about Rocket Power, sometimes it's very hard to get the references or even think about the boogie, boogie, boogie because I completely heard it in a different sense. But today, I'm not talking about rocket power. I'm here to talk about the things that we've all been doing to build islands and what this actually means in the reliability world. First, let's start out. Who am I? My name's Ana Margarita Medina. I am a senior chaos engineer at Gremlin. I work on reliability, breaking and making things better and sharing it with folks. So I do have now orange hair and I updated my little avatar to match that. And if you want to see what I look like in real life, there's that little photo of me in my little office room in my home. So, why am I here? Why am I speaking to y'all? Well, I work at a company called Gremlin. We offer software to help companies be more reliable by doing chaos engineering. I've been here for 3 years, but I actually got started in chaos engineering at an application that you may have heard of. I worked at Uber. I was helping make Uber reliable by working on cloud infrastructure, chaos engineering, and later on the developer platform. I come from a self taught background, so this has meant that I came through different senses of coming into this tech world. So I got a chance to work at Google doing student marketing. I did a software engineering internship. Prior to that, I did web development at startups, college research, on a whole bunch of random projects. The other really awesome thing about me that I love sharing is that I'm a proud college dropout. I'm self taught. I started coding at a young age and was able to build a lot of projects and talk about all the work that I did. And the other fact that I love sharing about myself is that I'm a proud Latina as well. I live in San Francisco, California, but I was born and raised in Costa Rica, and my parents are from Nicaragua. So shout out to those that feel like we don't fit into the tech world, but trust me, you belong here. We need you. So, what is it that we're going to be talking about today? The agenda for today is that we're going to talk a little bit about what it takes to build islands, and then we'll transition to what this actually means to build more reliable people. And of course, I'm tying it back into DevOps and talking about building reliability engineering. So, let's get started. What does it actually take to build a great island? If I sum it up to four things, I think it comes to tools, building that muscle, and of course, caring about community and your neighbors. And if anything, Animal Crossing really made it for us to always celebrate all these little things that can happen within our neighborhoods, our community, within our island. So let's get started with talking about tools. We know that we need to have axes, we need to water plants, we need to bungee jump to the other portion of our island. We realize that if we're able to invest in better tools, we're able to move faster. As we grow our pockets, we're able to carry more stuff and really get those Nook miles that we all really, really want. And if you've played long enough, you may have realized that you should always be carrying medicine. You never know where you're going to get stung, and you might be visiting a neighbor that actually needs your help. And if you're like me, you may have gotten stuck some nights where you're just like, uh-oh, my axe broke and I wish I had a second one because I really need to get this iron. So you may have learned that carrying extra tools is really helpful. So that actually transitions to muscle. Just like any other video game, we learned that the more we played, our island got better, but we were able to navigate the island more. We were able to visit more friends, and we really got really great at using our tools. We knew where they were, we had shortcuts, and we kept our pockets really organized. And it really allowed for us to find those moments of like, oh, I shouldn't do that. I should carry medicine. I should make sure to take this shortcut. Maybe you also realize that if you run through your beautiful plants and flowers, they're going to get ruined. So maybe you started asking yourself, should I really plant these next to the planes, next to the entrance of my house, places that I know I'm so going to be in a rush to go? And if you're like me, it took me a while to realize that if you don't have enough space to shake a tree or bring down a present balloon, it's going to get lost. I've lost like 5 or 6 presents in the last year by just shooting them down without realizing I have weeds and flowers under me and a whole bunch of pieces of wood that I totally forgot to bring down. So all those things you learn as you play more, it's all about that muscle memory. We then get to talk about community and neighbors. See, our neighbors are definitely one of the things that keep us coming back. We get to build relationships with our neighbors, but they also get to miss us. And we get to think, hey, let me just go check in on our friends before they start asking where we've been. I recently logged in and someone was like, I stood around your house a full day because I missed you. Where were you? And it's nice to feel that portion of community. And you also get a chance to help each other out. Sometimes people need medicine. Sometimes people are just looking for a flower, and that's really going to make their day. And that really brings us to that other portion of celebration. Animal Crossing was all about that. You get to celebrate all the little things from building a bridge, being able to have a campsite, having a new neighbor move in. And it's not just those big things. It also teaches you that all those little milestones of catching a butterfly, catching a fish, being able to upgrade a tool, learning a new reaction is a celebration. You get to clap, you get to see your neighbors be excited for you. So, yes, Benedict's now asking, what does this have to do with reliability? Maybe I should say everything, or maybe I should just be honest that I just wanted to really build a pretty slide deck and have fun. Well, it actually has to do with everything. I wanted to dive in and talk about what this actually teaches us about building more reliable persons, building a better wellness, building a better you, especially as we're going through this panini, pandemic, pancetta. I love all the names that we've all created for this. So, what does it take to build a more reliable you? It actually comes down to a lot of the 4 fundamentals that building an island taught us. Yes, tools. What does tools mean? Hobbies, being able to just not have our entire life revolve around our work. We're stuck at home. We're stuck in our small pods in a small space. We're sharing our workload, our family load, our pet load, our kid load, all these things. So, how is it that you can actually keep yourself going forward, caring about your mental health, caring about your well being? Maybe it was a time for you to dive in and pick up your sci fi books again. You may have been one of those people that needed Animal Crossing to survive this panini. I know I was one of them. I waited until October until GameStop finally dropped a few others and I was able to pick up the limited edition of Animal Crossing Nintendo Switch. That's all I played on it. And it's really, really nice. And this also allowed for a few folks to find their passion projects, whether it was volunteering, getting more involved in activism, or launching a side hustle to make more income during really tough times. I know a lot of folks got into coding and technology as a way for them to pivot. But finding those side things really comes into those tools of being focused on your whole self and not just in this work professional portion of us. And hey, muscle has been something that you may have struggled with the entire time of the pandemic. I know I have. I know I've been so burnt out that I don't want to learn anything for my own learning, for my work settings, or your entire routine completely drastically changed. You used to spend your commute reading a book, talking to your family, getting coffee, and those were the joys that you had when you were going into the office. As all of this has drastically changed and evolved, you may have had to spend some time building a new muscle, building new muscle memory. How is it that you can build a routine for you to stay sane or COVID fine, as we like to say during this panini? I know for me, my routine has completely changed. Now I have technology devices at home that turn on lights for me, that play music. Like I like listening to reggaeton when I wake up. That's my alarm. I play 7 reggaeton songs, and by the 7th one, Anna needs to be hopping into the shower. And in even in this muscle memory, it was a lot of me thinking about wellness. How is it that I can be thinking about healthy habits? Whether it was, Anna, you need to really block off a 1 hour lunch block on your calendar, and then hold yourself accountable by posting on Twitter. Anna needs to step away from her desk. She needs to eat veggies and she needs to get sun. So all of that was muscle memory that I had to completely readapt. And when it came to community, that in-person community of seeing all of you at conferences, meeting so many of y'all on Twitter, and then getting to grab coffee, that was completely not there. So I had to build stronger in real life connections with the folks in my pod, the ones that I live with. And I really seeked out more virtual connections because why not? I'm a person that grew up on the internet. Some of my best friends I met through Twitter. This allowed for me to really just pivot and continue meeting more virtual friends. And I couldn't forget about all my friends and family that I've already had in my life, making sure that I spent time with them. A lot of those things that Animal Crossing was teaching me, make sure that the people that you have connections with, you talk to them, you engage with them, you ask what they need. And they're going to miss you when you don't check in with them. And having that is really helpful as our entire mental health has been going through so many drastic changes, whether you've been in the political stuff of the United States or just globally going through all this entire pandemic. It's been hard. So these are things that you can learn from playing a lot of Animal Crossing. Isn't that awesome? We're building more reliable selves. And we also get to share that celebration aspect that Animal Crossing teaches you, from really celebrating those wins, those failures, from catching that bug, from getting stung by a bee. Now you know, carry medicine. And when it comes to real life, make sure to celebrate those little things that you can struggle with. I have a really complex mental health life. I'm bipolar 1, I have ADHD, and sometimes it's even just really hard to shower. That the times that I am struggling and I do get to hit that milestone, I am celebrating it the same way many of you are celebrating your promotion. So make sure to do that, even if it's hitting a deadline, having contact with your family or friends. Celebration is really, really critical. But yes, you're at a DevOps conference, Anna. Can you talk about engineering? Can we stop talking about this human stuff? No, human stuff is a big portion of DevOps, and you can never remove the human aspect out of engineering. But in engineering reliability, guess what? Those 4 fundamentals of tools, muscle, community, and celebration build reliability. What I mean is that you may have just realized you can't build an island overnight. Yeah, it would be really awesome to be able to spend 24 hours and build this amazing island that has all your friends, and you get to have money trees, and you're really good at digging up your fossils, and somehow you have enough bells to make this happen in 24 hours. If you got to do that, let me know because I would love to find some hacks. But you also can't build reliability overnight. You can't just buy a tool and get this happening overnight. You can't just say, I'm about to just press a button and all of a sudden we have all these extra nines of reliability. Reliability takes a lot of things. And in one of those things, you need to start investing in tools and not just buying tools. It could also be internal tooling and everything to do with it. And I also really include documentation in tools because this is a portion of your infrastructure, that access to your code, that a lot of internal and external people really need to learn. So make sure to focus on improving your docs. Then really think about that developer experience. How are you enabling those that work inside your organization to ramp up to be in your code base and push into production a lot earlier? Think about that developer experience. Give them some hacks, some terminal upgrades, some just tips from senior developers within the organization. And of course, we're in DevOps. Please make sure to think about ways to have CI/CD dealing in your platform, make that better, have that continuously improving. Think about monitoring and observability. How is it that you know what's going on in your system? You need those tools. And of course, don't forget what's going on in your infrastructure, whether it's cost optimization or making sure you have redundancy. And muscle, yes, we have all these tools, but that doesn't mean anything if you don't have training or any onboarding to them. We're in DevOps. We know failure is going to happen. Please have run books and don't just write them and forget them. Use that muscle to run through those run books, have them be updated. I know the first time I was on call, the run book I had to touch was 180 days old. Guess who was freaking out to make sure that they weren't going to crash production? And even when we talk about that muscle memory, you want to think about injecting failure into your processes, into your systems, to really think about how everything comes together when failure does occur. Failure is going to happen. Are you ready to handle it? And that transitions into those disaster recovery plans. You need to run through these disaster recovery plans, inject a failure to make sure your team has that muscle to not have such a costly downtime. And DevOps and SRE work only gets better with practice. The more your engineers do it, the more that they're making things better, making the pager fatigue less firefighting. It's going to get easier. And they're going to be happier at their workplace. And with all this knowledge and practice, go ahead and put more documentation in your knowledge base together. Get comfortable and celebrate the failures that are going to happen. And with that, as you're thinking about failure injection, think about processes like chaos engineering that allow for your organization to come together and look at those architecture diagrams, disaster recovery plans, run books, and actually go through them together. It also really helps enforce better mental models within your organization. And hey, sometimes things are going to break. Make sure that your team knows what to do when you get paged. Our little person just lost a database. They think they can know how to failover. Maybe they're asking for help. Someone should actually have run with this person that way they have more assurance that they know what to do when they get paged. Let's stop that story of hopping on call without any training and just getting thrown a pager. We can do better. So that muscle is really about building that muscle memory, but it allows for you to start thinking forward, thinking about capacity planning, making sure that your organization, your infrastructure is ready for those high traffic events. And hey, that also comes into those auto scaling policies. I love working on the cloud, but yes, defining auto scaling policies could be easy. It's not until you actually see all of this happening in production that you realize it actually takes my cloud provider 2 minutes to spin this up. My monitoring and observability tool needs another 5 minutes to pop this in. My load balancer is not routing traffic for another 10 minutes. You're not going to know this until you're running these exercises. And if you're in containers, Kubernetes, don't forget about resource limits, because that is an easy way to be dealing with a really expensive outage. So those two things are something that I always tell folks to focus on when you're thinking about reliability in their organizations. And really allow your team to put all those things together, redundancy, tooling, and infrastructure. And community. Community is such a big portion of DevOps. I mean, you're here at a DevOps conference, you understand community, but we can have that community within that engineering space. We have to foster spaces where we have open communication, we have blameless postmortems. We're building that trust and safety for our engineers to do their best work. Remove those silos. We shouldn't have to be putting blame. We should be having people be communicating with one another, having those developers really carry that pager, understand, have access to the SRE team to be able to make reliability a core portion of the product and what you're working on. And with this is about doing community internal and external. It's not just about having engineer A talk to engineer B, make that happen cross-functional, but also have those engineers join communities like this one or find their closest DevOps Days community. There's so many stuff going on. Really allows for you to share those learnings, share those wins and failures. And hey, celebration. This is one of my favorite things about working in chaos engineering and reliability, getting a chance to share the learnings of what happens, but also celebrating all those little things along the way. It's going to help us build a better culture, but not just a better one because we're reliable. It's inclusive. It allows folks to be able to push themselves forward, innovate, and try to be their best selves at work. So celebrate those wins, failures, launches, and birthdays. Your team is going to appreciate it. With that, I want to thank you for watching, for letting me have so much fun creating my slides and thinking about reliability and DevOps. You can get free stickers from the Chaos Engineering community by going over to gremlin.com/talks/DI-DevOps21. With that, I want to say thank you. I will now take some questions. You can find me on Twitter, LinkedIn. AnnaMMedina.com has a contact form and more info about me. And if you're curious about Gremlin, head on over to gremlin.com/free and you can see what chaos engineering tooling is all about.
Thank you, Anna. That was great. Your slides, so beautiful, so reliable. Everyone, please give a thank you to Anna in the Twitch chat and in the Discord. Remember, you can ask questions in the speaker Q&A channel. Anna, so far the question we have is, will you share a reggaeton playlist with the group?
I can totally do that. Let me go find some safe for work stuff I can share. But I grew up in Miami, so Daddy Yankee, Pitbull were probably some of my favorite ones. And yeah, I can talk about reggaeton like for hours. So feel free to find me on social media and I got you.
Amazing. I think the only Pitbull songs I know are the ones where he says his area code. Is that
305.
all? Yeah.
The best thing is that my emo aliases have 305 in them before Pitbull was like a big artist. And my island is Moonchild 305 because that's all I'm about.
Hey, yeah. I mean, hey, you got to get those Miami vibes. I get it. And I would love to watch Rocket Power and Espanol with you someday because I watched it in English, but I would love to watch it in Spanish and see what's different.
We're Twitch streaming this. We're making it happen.
Yeah, let's make it happen. I'll be like, what? ¿Qué pasa? But that's what I'm usually like. So let me check the speaker Q&A just in case. Someone in the Q&A says our children will know him as T.O. Pitbull.
For sure. So worldwide.
All right. Thank you so much, Anna. Find Anna online because she's around. She's always doing cool stuff. She'll be the gremlin you need, you know? So